Magandang araw, Podmates! Howie Severino muli na nagpapaalala na nakakatalino ang mahabang attention span. At ngayon, may makakasama na naman tayong matalino at dakilang Pilipino. Si Toym Imao, activist artist, UP Professor of Fine Arts at anak ng national artist na si Abdulmari Imao ng Sulu. Magandang araw sa iyo, Toym!
Magandang araw sa iyo, Howie, at magandang araw sa mga nakikinig at nanonood ng podcast na ito.
Thanks for joining us, Toym, and making time for us. But unang-una, meron kang kakaibang nickname, no? Just to get this out of the way, baka may mga nagtataka. Toym, no? Toym, no? You're a
Yes.
junior, Abdulmari Imao Jr. Paano ka naging Toym?
Professionally, no, I use Toym because I wanted na magkaiba kami ng pangalan ng father ko, no? Pinagkakamalan kasi minsan. Ang Toym is actually has a very interesting backstory, no? My dad in 1968 was receiving yung Toym Award, no? And the awarding ceremony was in Malacanang. They were in the holding room, no? And it so happens that before the ceremony, President Ferdinand Marcos stepped in and mingled with the awardees, no? Tapos noon, when they came over sa parents ko, no, napansin niya na pregnant yung mom ko. Kaya tinanong niya, sabi niya gano'n, kailan ka manganganak? And my mom told then President Marcos, sa katapusan po. Okay. Then you should name him Toymy, your husband's second trophy. Actually, it was really Ferdinand Marcos who gave me my nickname.
You've been interviewed and you called yourself an activist, in addition to being an artist, of course, no? And activists want to bring about social change, no? So how can an artist do that?
Well, I mean, we've been gifted with a very powerful tool for communication. And whatever cannot be easily articulated in words or encapsulated in, some narratives, no? Some other art forms, no? Become very effective ways in which you can somehow encapsulate big epic ideas, no, and reduce that into a form of a story that people will understand, no? And that's how powerful art making is, no? And we've proven that during the time ng martial law in particular, no, with a lot of social realist painters, even directors and writers, no, poets for that matter, no, have done really powerful, fantastic films that embodied, no, the spirit of the times, no, the sentiment of the times, and that's where art comes in.
Itong jeepney made of yarn, no?
Yes.
Na last last month, no? Which was exhibited in Binondo, no? The jeepney made out of metal, the industrial strength yan, etc. Yung ginawa mo made out of yarn, which is diba? Para it's a fabric. It's very soft, and you don't associate it with being sturdy. So paano mo pinagsama yon? And I know may social message din ito, of course,
Yes.
no? Because there are a lot of issues related to the jeepney.
Well, actually, this is the third iteration of that jeepney. It has evolved since 2018. The first time, it was exhibited at the Manila Biennale with then the late Carlos Celdran, no? We worked on this and we wanted to do something that is a little different in terms of addressing the iconographies, no, in Philippine society, and jeepney comes into mind, no. But I think yung pinaka-best use was the second iteration, no. This was the one that during the height of the pandemic in 2020, no, nag-shut down ang University of the Philippines, no. And it so happens that during that shutdown, nawala ng trabaho lahat ng mga ikot jeepneys, Katipunan to UP and UP to other points sa may papuntang Quezon Boulevard, SM North, no? And naglilimos sila, no? And at that same time, no, a little bit before that, we were also like witnessing yung parang yung parang very aggressive na pinupush yung jeepney phase out at saka modernization, no? So parang 2 beses silang sinuntok during that year, no? Nawala na ng trabaho, sinasabihan pang kailangan i-give up na nila yung mga old units nila, no? So I wanted to focus on the plight of the jeepney drivers, a microcosm of what the country was going through, no? Something that has been around for more than several decades already. And it so happened at that year, no, na inilabas namin ng 2020, it happens to be the 75th anniversary of yung sinasabi nilang the first jeepney, which was directly after the war in 1945, no, yung liberation. I wanted to bring that focus, no. And why yarn? Because yarn is a very fragile material, no. And when we're talking about the issues and concerns of the jeepney driver, no, there's a certain level of vulnerability into the narrative that they're experiencing right now, no. And I wanted to use that as a visual metaphor for bringing to light yung plight nila, no. So nangyari noon, noong 2020, no, wala, saradong buong campus, no. What we did was that we paraded it, no, lighted and all in the evening. It was the lone lantern that went around UP.
Just for context for listeners, no, sa UP Diliman, my annual tradition ka na lantern parade, which is usually something that's that attracts crowds, diba?
Yes.
And it's a happy, festive event where the different departments and units at UP have their own lanterns and displays, and they usually communicate various issues and concerns sila, etc. Pero yun nga, nung nag-lockdown, sarado lahat, tinigil lahat.
Yeah.
Pero kayo, tinuloy nyo pa rin kahit parang iisa lang yung lantern, no? And yung jeepney pa. So it must have been so dramatic, no?
Oh, yes, yes.
I mean, even cinematic, di ba?
Yeah.
That must have been such a powerful moment.
Yeah,
for you.
and if you wanted to go back, the UP actually produced a video. If you Google sa YouTube yata or yung Payapang Daigdig, UP Jeepney or Jeepney Installation 2020, no, you'll find that they produced a video while ang music ay kinakanta yung Payapang Daigdig na ginawang parang Christmas carol natin, no, which also happens to have celebrated its well-known, sabi nga nila, it's 75th year, no. So we were also commemorating some certain milestones, no, in terms of the iconographies ng Filipino, no. At the same time, the idea of war, no. At that time, we were saying that there was a war against the virus, no?
And of course, you've also said, no, that the jeepney is such a powerful symbol. Not only is it, does it provide livelihood for so many, but parang sinasabi mo, it symbolizes Filipino identity, no?
Yes, it does.
Jeepney, yeah. Yeah. Okay, yung jeepney made out of yarn, no? That's an example of what you call installation art.
Yes.
No? And of course, you can elaborate on this, but basically, it's an ephemeral art form, meaning it's not meant to be permanent. Why would an artist want to produce something that's temporary, that is even disposable, ephemeral? I mean, would you want your art to be forever?
Diba? Gusto nga natin may forever as much as possible, hindi ba? Pero siguro it's part of the way kasi one big part of what I do as an artist is I do more permanent public art, no, in the form of monuments. And these are in cast bronze, in stone, in brass, in concrete. They're more permanent and they deal with the nation's history, no?
Yung examples niya, you've done Bonifacio, di ba? You've done you've done murals. So it's not just monuments, you've done murals in Baler.
Yeah.
I think you did Tandang Sora.
Yes, we did.
Tandang Sora ka ba? Assorted, no? So these are not ordinary monuments, no? I mean, these are important people done in important places, no? So to contrast with that, permanent, and you would think that nandiyan pa rin yan many generations from now. Halimbawa, itong jeepney mo made out of yarn. I mean, the one in Binondo was just there for 2 weeks.
Yes.
Ano na yung nangyari doon?
Well, ngayon, naka-storage na, nakabaklas na siya, and it's put in storage now. And if ever it will appear in the future, we will have to re-yarn it or something, and it's going to take another form, no? as much as the variety and diversity of all the jeepneys, no two are exactly as the same. It's specifically that mindset that if ever we do come up with something like that again, it will be a totally different jeepney. Pero it still has the spirit of what we intended it to be. It's still going to be made out of temporary materials, yarns, and it's going to be lighted also.
So what's the advantage, or if any, of this ephemeral form of art, itong installation art?
Yeah, kasi ganito yan eh, 'di ba? I'm also known, no, together with my brother si Sajid, gumagawa kami ng mga monumento, hindi ba, around the country. Yes. But you know, those kinds of monument that are commissioned, no, doesn't really give us too much what do you say, artistic freedom to really do the kinds of things that we want to do, no, and treat, no, the narratives, no. They're usually very conservative and classical, no, and we are only limited to the kinds of narratives that the government and its institutions would like to say, no. Para sa akin, no, bilang isang artist rin at medyo, you know, I've told it, you know, I'm a very quite progressive in my views about the function, no, of art in society. We missed out on some really very important stories in our history that might never see light, no, in terms of being shared to a wider public, in a public forum or in a public place, no. So naisip ko na, you know, in the age of the internet, no, we can achieve, no, what monuments can, and probably better, no. Kasi pag may monumento ka, kunyari inilagay mo sa gitna ng Maynila, kailangan mo pang puntahan yon para ma-experience yung monumento na yon, no. Of course, there are photographs na shared na pwede nating ma-access sa web, no? Pero that's there, no? Pero when you do a public artwork, no matter how temporary it is, no? Once it enters the realm, no, of the internet, no? It achieves a certain level of forever, kumbaga, no? As long as the internet is there. It reaches a wider audience also na hindi makapunta ng Maynila to view an actual monument, no? You have a vicarious experience of something that's meant to tell history. Kaya yung para sa akin, this is a way of an alternative imaging of history, no? No matter how temporary it is, it leaves a digital footprint that people can access and mine, no, for generations to come, as long as, you know, the information is out there. Therefore, it lasts as much as a more permanent traditional monument, no? Kaya ngayon kailangan kasi inaano na lang natin, pinag-aaralan rin natin yung the idea or the term of monumentality, no? What's big, no? Something that I produce, kunyari, a 1-foot monument, no, or sculpture that I produce that has the same narratives as a large monument as compared to something that's 10 or 100 foot high, no? Once na nakita mo yan sa screen ng cellphone, they're all the same, no? Scale is of no matter, no? What's important is it's what it's trying to say, no? And what it wants to deliver, no? The narratives in perpetuity, no? So, yun ang nangyari, yun ang naisip ko na, okay, kaya ko pa rin gumawa ng monumento pero sa kakaibang pamamaraan para i-share ito, no, sa mas nakakaraming tao. Ang importante is naroon yung story ang gusto kong sabihin, mga istoryang ayaw galawin ng gobyerno natin, no? Narratives about the martial law, narratives about mga desaparecidos. The government won't fund, you know, sculptures like that, no? Or probably certain heroes, no? Na ano, we're in the process of really like working on like Leonard Cohen, no? Yung mga unsung heroes, mga lesser known heroes, lesser known mga massacres na nangyari, no? We're looking into possibilities of memorializing yung mga nangyari sa Mindanao, lalo na, no, na hindi natin masyadong naririnig, no? So yun ang importante, and it doesn't need to be a very expensive permanent monument, no? It can be in the form of a public art installation in order to commemorate that particular significant event or individual.
In other words, kahit temporary lang yung physical presence ng art, because of the internet, it can be permanent. I want to just share my first exposure to installation art, because I became close to an artist from the 80s and 90s named Roberto Villanueva.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I'm sure artists like you will be familiar, no? But he made something on the lawn of the cultural center called the Labyrinth, no, in the late 1980s, which was incredible. It was huge. It was a big parang maze made out of Bruno, and it was a team collaboration. This is long before the internet. What struck me about that was parang it was such a holistic kind of art, no, in the sense na yung paggawa niya was a kind of was already part of the performance.
Yung proseso.
Yes, the whole process. Yeah, because it was outdoor, it was in front of the cultural center, it was very public, etc. And Robert, of course, was heavily influenced by Cordillera culture, so he was always dressed in his bag the whole time. He had long hair, mukha siyang shaman, no? So
yes. Actually, he looks like a shaman talaga.
Yeah, so he had this mystical aura about him, and building this kind of mystical thing. You didn't even know what it was, but once it was built, it was huge. It was like a big maze. And then for a while, I don't know how long it lasted, but may mga performance, people were playing music, and then there were like processions inside, may mga ritual, etc. No? So various things happened there, but you knew it was temporary, so you had to see it right away. And then when it had to go, nung tapos na, Robert, in his bahag, again, or brought back the team to help him destroy it. It wasn't just taking it apart. Talagang, there was, it was a performance of, I don't know what you could, there was a process of creation, but there was also a process of destruction.
Destruction, yes.
That was, so yun, and then, I was very young at that time because Robert was a bit older than me, so parang as a naive viewer of art, parang, what the hell is this? Parang sayang. Sayang, di ba? Parang gagawin mo yan, paghihirapan mo, tapos ang ganda ng dating, tapos sisirain mo lang. Parang hindi ko naintindihan at that time. And then somebody said, ganyan ang installation. Di ba? So, doon ko unang narinig, Toym, no?
Yeah. And that's a monument in Howie Severino's definition of what a monument is, no? Kasi you own the experience, eh. Since sinasabi nga nila, the most effective monuments that we have right now are monuments that engage several senses rather than just the sense of sight, no? What you've experienced in something that engages feel, no, sound, no, sight, probably kung meron pang sineserve silang pagkain roon, or even the amoy, no, the aroma, no, smell. So yung atin, we tend to remember kasi experiential. Minsan tinatanong ko, what's your most favorite monument, no, or shrine? It's this metal 3 by 3 feet metal plate in front of the Buchenwald concentration camp in Germany, no? Bakit nga yun ang gusto mo, parang isang plate lang, no? Kasi that plate was supposed to be a marker to as a replacement to a monument na itinayo nila out of wood from the concentration camp houses, no? Nung na-liberate ng mga Russians, gumawa sila ng obelisk, no? Kaso over time, syempre natunaw yon. It's not a permanent material. It's like an installation also, no? So nung nagkaroon ng reunification ng Germany, there was this surge, no, of trying to remember their history, no? Kaya ang daming mga Holocaust memorial na tumayo. Pero of all those memorials, this is for me the most powerful. Why? Because that metal plate which traces, no, the footprint of this obelisk, no, and just lies in a very open field in front of the concentration camp, no, the gates of the concentration camp, is heated at 24 hours, 7 days a week, and for the whole year, no, at 37 degrees centigrade, no. So pag hinawakan mo yung plate, mainit siya. And what is 37 degrees centigrade, no? it's the temperature of the human body. So you feel humanity, no? In that plate where the inscription written there is about those who were incarcerated there, those who were considered the degenerates of society during that particular period. Homosexuals, so LGBTQ community, yung mga mayroong kapansanan sa pag-iisip, may physical deformities, no, mga religious sects, no, na iba, no, other than the Jews, no, we're all there, no, and it's about humanity lost, no. So for me, that's the most powerful. Even in Dead Winter, no, sa Dead Winter, siya lang yung lumalabas kasi siya lang yung mainit eh. Tapos doon puting-puti yung buong paligid, no. So there's really a powerful magic in that simplicity of, you know, and that's how we remember things, no, because it becomes experiential for us and we retain, no, whatever message that it wants to tell to us.
Well, you know, speaking of remembering lost humanity or human loss, no. I mean, closer to home, of course, we have a lot of our issues, and I want to ask you about this powerful exhibit that you were a part of on the FEU campus back in 2017 at the height of the drug killings, no. Alam naman natin na libo-libo yung namatay doon sa drug campaign ng gobyerno noon, no. It was called Udyat, no. It didn't last very long, pero it was big. It was a big exhibit. Maraming kasamang artist, isa ka doon. And you had one of the biggest art. I don't want to say it was more than an art piece. Many pieces as part of the single art project, no, na ginawa mo. It was entitled Desaparecidos.
Yes.
And usually that word is associated with people who disappeared in Central America. Diba? They had their own regime that was killing people there. But meron din tayong history dito sa atin ng mga disappeared. Anyway, yung Udyat, what did you want to communicate through that? That was at the height of the drug killings. It was not in the usual display space. In FEU, which is not widely known for activism, in the middle of Manila, I still have very vivid memories of that, and I was actually bombarded, no, with a lot of visceral displays, no, and you could feel the anger, no, and sadness, the frustration, the grief, because at that, you know, maybe on that same day that this art exhibit opened, a daming pinatay, no? And we knew that was going on at that very moment. So take us back to that. What was that all about?
Well, I think it was a community, an artist community reaction that we have to say something. Basically, that's premised on something. That there was a lot of things happening, and parang yun na yung form namin na para sumigaw, no? Na nangyayari ito sa bansa natin, buksan natin ating mga mata. I think FEU for that matter was a really good venue because FEU is sandwiched between yung mga roads na kung saan madalas dumadaan yung mga nagpoprotesta nung araw, hindi ba? Since the 1970s pa yan, hindi ba? You belt, oh, it's been witness to a lot of mass actions, no? Really violent ones, no, for that matter. Umabot doon yung habulan nung nagkaroon ng barilan sa Mendiola, no, during the mid-1980s, no. Kaya I think it's an appropriate, although it's not your typical exhibition areas, naging matapang FEU to welcome those powerful works that are done by national artists, really seasoned senior artists, no, and respected photojournalists for that matter, no? Kasi sa tingin ko, it is our way of also trying to live to visualize what was happening sa country natin, na not just through media na nakakuha natin, no? Sometimes kasi merong yung mga reports na nakikita natin sa pahayagan, no? are facts, no? Of course, no? Um, pero we wanted to add to facts, but more on rin yung nararamdaman namin, no? And a commentary, no? Yung opinions namin sa mga nangyayari, no? So, hand in the hand sa truth saying, no? Is also imaging the violence that our country was undergoing, no? And these images, no, will forever be accessed by a lot of people in the age of the internet. Katulad ng sinabi ko, no, we've left a really sizable digital footprint about this entire exhibition, no, by a group of really brave artists and truth sayers, no. We wanted to say that hindi lang puro maganda ang dapat nating sinasabi o nilalabas bilang artist. So it's not a matter of escape, no, or beautiful photos and pictures that hang on walls, no? But rather, no, we were out there to disturb, no? Again, I will be borrowing Bertolt Brecht's famous, kasi paborito ko siya talaga, no? Art is not, a mirror held up against society, no? Up to society, but a hammer in which to forge it, no? Or to hammer to form it, no? So that's exactly what we did. We exercised our creative faculties in order to come up with these images that people need to see.
Congratulations on that, no?
I'm glad you were able to see it.
I went back and read articles about it. Hindi pala siya nagtagal, no? And in fact, and then akala ko it would like tour other places. Hindi na pala, no? Hanggang doon lang, no? So,
yun nga eh. Pero medyo difficult. We were also trolled, no? I'm trolling.
I can imagine.
Systematic trolling, no? Ang and including the organizers, no? Of course, we have some journalists na naging tumulong sa amin, parang more on feeding us with the necessary information, no? Coming from the field, no? Pero sila rin, I mean, there was a systematic attack, no? Sa amin during that time and the days to come. We became, marked and targeted often, no? Lalo na sa mga ginagawa kong trabaho, no? Mga installation. We started with the commemoration of the 50th anniversary of the first quarter storm sa UP with a concert and an installation, followed by the year after yung barikada, yung Diliman Commune. At yung recently anniversary of the declaration of martial law. 50 body bags, no, na sa in front of the oblation, no, doon sa Oblation Plaza, that were filled with earth that is equivalent to the weight of the human body, an average human body. Pero tinamnam namin yon, nakabukas yung body bags, lupa yung laman, pero it was planted with a garden and flowers of forget-me-not, no. And it was there for 40 days, no, parang until yung magbabangluksa, no, ang kumbaga, kaya those are the kinds of installation, no, yung I don't know if you've heard about yung ginawa ko yung barikada sa UP. It was one of the most kumbaga heavily trolled, no, and attacked. Doon ako naka-receive ng death threats, ng mga phone calls, na red tag ako, no less than certain individuals who are the top, no, of the red tagging business, no. And all because kala nila nagkataon na nung sineset up namin yung installation to commemorate the barikada sa UP, that was the day na inabrogate, no, yung UP DND Accord, no. Kaya nung pumunta yung mga reporters sa UP, no, para i-cover, no, nakita nila nagtatayo kami ng parang barikada na installation. Nagbabarikada ulit ang UP. Sinasabi nila, and that just blew out of proportion, no. It was one of the really worst but also fulfilling period of my artistic career na talagang for 2 to 3 weeks talagang hindi ako pinatahimik sa trolling, no. And but at the same time, we were in the front pages of all the major dailies, including mga news outfits sa region, no. Well, kung tutusin the best collaborator is the Philippine government. Sila yung nagpasikat, no, of the installation, and that's one thing. If there's one thing good that came out from that experience, that was it, no. The awareness that these things happen and the discussion that followed after what constitutes installation art, what constitutes good art, what constitutes art that would serve the narratives of the people.
I guess that's the irony of it, no? Na the trolling, I guess, is meant to try to silence you or scare you and scare other artists from expressing themselves in this way, But I guess the actual effect was it even made you more popular and made you more famous. And as you said, it was a fulfilling part of your artistic life. But why would you say that? Tinotroll ka, you got all of this hate, no? And of course, I'm sure you're convinced you were on the right side, no? But still, if getting all of these, I myself as a journalist, I've also gotten my share.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah. It comes
in the past 7 years, most especially.
Yes. So on the one hand, parang feeling mo, wow, okay, napapansin ko. That means I'm having some kind of impact, and people think I have influence. Otherwise, di man ako papansinin. So, but on the other hand, parang nakakatakot, di ba? I mean, the things that some people say, and we both of us have families. So, parang I had mixed feelings about it, no? But ikaw, you just said it was a fulfilling part of your life. But why?
Well, sadly, I share this fulfillment with yung sinasabi nga natin, pinaka-famous of all daw noon, no? Pero ngayon, most powerful, mga cartoonists, no? Inaatake na rin sila ngayon, no? Yung mockery is under attack rin, no? Yung legit na art form ng editorial cartooning at saka yung mga strip cartooning, no? Fulfilling because na i-deliver namin yung gusto naming sabihin. And well, truth saying is through the arts is a very tricky thing rin, I would often say to my journalist friends, when the truth is under siege and the press is pinned down by the state, no, the arts become our second line of defense. Kasi yung pwedeng i-soundbite yung mga information na inilalabas ng popular media, no? Either video or written work, no? And it can be mangled and twisted into another form of convenient truth, no? For those who are in power, no? Art is a little trickier, no? It takes a little more savviness, no? And sophistication to twist whatever art is trying to say, no? Kaya yung mas nakakatakot, no? Na para sa kanila, no? Unless na super intelligent or magaling it's a little bit more difficult para sa kanila na i-suppress ang mga different art forms, may it be visual arts, no, theater, and stuff like that, no? It becomes fulfilling, no? Just to share with you, last year, no, and we mounted a play, no, together with it was written by Rodi Vera and directed by Chris Miliado and entitled Anak Datu, no? It was based on a story, a children's story that was written by my dad in 1968 but was published during the height of martial law in 1972. And what Rodi and Chris made was to tie that up with the rise of the narratives yung story ng rebellion sa Mindanao, and at the same time tied up with our own personal stories sa family, no? Kasi parehong yung pamilya namin, my mom was very much involved with the opposition. My dad's family back home in Holosulu, no, were part of the rebellion during that particular period, no? It was a very difficult time. We were supposed to mount it on 2020, nagkaroon ng pandemic. We continued to develop it. And what happened was that Anak Datu became the first play, no, to come out, no, after the pandemic. Original siya na play, and the narrative was, referencing back to the periods of martial law, the dictatorship, and it so happens na kakapanalo pa lang ng current president natin, no. We're told na napakatapang namin para to come out with that, especially coming out from the pandemic also, no? Where it was so difficult to really do things, no, in the performance level. But we did it, no? We wanted it as a commentary not only about what's happening in Mindanao, but yung mga current concerns like yung Marawi siege, no? Yung continuous operation na ganon. That through this story, no, intertwined also with the narratives of Voltes 5, no?
I know you're a big fan.
Yes, I am. And na-tie up namin 'yon. Doon sa storya na 'yon. We're staging it of all months, September ulit, no, during the anniversaries. But these are the kinds of art forms that we work with, no? We collaborate with filmmakers, no, poets, no, everyone, just to keep those stories continuously feeding them to a newer generation in order for them not to spoon feed them the facts, no, but to at least implant, no, that motivation to question, no, what are they trying to say, no, or at least put that seed of doubt in them, no, not to really find out and inquire, no, what happened during that particular period, no. And para sa amin masaya na kami pag sakaling mga kabataan na yan magtanong na ng ganon.
So where will Anak Dato be restaged in September?
In CCT, Tanghalang Ignacio Jimenez, it's the new Black Box Theater, no? If we will still be allowed. Pero pag hindi, the powers that be. Yeah. If not, then we'll find another venue. But definitely, we will be pushing through with it. And hopefully, we're really planning to bring it to Mindanao.
You know what a lot of people noticed in the last year, no, and towards the end of the year before that is ang daming artists na naging active sa politika, in particular the political campaign, no, and specifically the political campaign of Lenny Robredo, no.
Yes.
And you were one of those, no. Why do you think that was? Why did so many artists become politically active in that way in the months leading to the election? Ang daming nakitang political art in so many ways, no? Not just visual, but there's dancing and poetry and writing, etc. And you see it on Facebook, you see it. Why was there kind of this flowering or this explosion of art during that time?
I think popular movements are defined by yung parang artistic produce na nagagawa during that particular period, no? Kasi ako naniniwala ako that artist thrives in adversity, no? And the best artworks come at a time that is most difficult, no? Era for a particular community and nation, no? I am always fond of saying, no, na yung quoting Karen Carpenter, no, through her song, no, the best love songs are written with a broken heart, no? And I think coming out from 6 years, no, of a bloody drug war, and coming out from already experiencing 2 years, no, of a mismanaged pandemic response, no, by the government, napupuno na, no. Ang nakakatuwa dito kasi pag ang normal na tao na walang artistic ability, no, pag puno na sumisigaw, no. Pero ang artist kumakanta, no, gumagawa ng painting, gumagawa ng tula, ng storya, ng pelikula, no, ng dance, no. And nakita natin ito involved dun sa last election, national artists who we really admire and respect, no. They came out from the safety of yung kanilang position, no. I was marching in the streets with them, no. We were together protesting, no, and there was a deluge of volunteers doing all these murals all across the country, no, for that particular matter, no? Meron kasing na nakikita natin yan hindi lang nung panahon ng ng eleksyon natin, pero in history, no, during the time ng Spanish colonial period, no? You have the works of Rizal, of Luna, no? Yung mga sulat ng mga intellectuals nung time natin na yon, no? Inilalagay yung kanilang sentimiento to those art forms, no? I think that's a continuation of a tradition, no? And napaka-hardwire sa IT. And that's why even our protest, takes to that level. And we don't have to look far, no? Noong 1986 EDSA Revolution, nakita rin natin yung flowering na yan, no? Ang daming mga kanta, no? Handog ng Pilipino sa mundo, no? Which is ala USA for Africa na song, no? Na ng mga kinanta ng maraming Filipino artists, no? Yung paggagawa ng t-shirt, ng mga pins, no? Nariyan rin yan, ha? Ganong kasimpleng it's an expression, no? I think we also wanted to articulate the times and at the same time leave our mark, no? Visually. For all to remember, no? It's a mark, it's our battle flags, eh. Yung natin, yung mga weapons na yon na creativity. And we wanted to show the world, no, in so many in so little images, so little words, mga memes and everything, what we want to happen in the country. And we responded creatively to that.
So, naganap na yung election, no? Natapos na yung election campaign. But could that kind of cultural involvement have been the beginning of something?
Yes, I think so, no? It was not the climax, definitely. I think we all have to agree on that, no? It was not yung pinaka-highest point, no? It was the beginning, no? If you can imagine that visual campaign, yung all the creative and artistic only happened within a couple of months, no? Leading to the election, no? So isipin mo na lang kung nakabagbuelo pa tayo ng ilang buwan, ito lang yung taon, no? May nasimulan at that time, a spark was lighted, definitely, no? And I think we saw the potential of what our art making can do, no? And I'm very sure, no? It struck fear in the hearts of those, no? We wanted to challenge, no? Kaya nga ngayon nakikita mo na ginagamit rin nila yung sining, no? By producing this really historically inaccurate and revisionist movies, no? Yung mga memes na pinoproduce nila, that's bordering on really fake news, no? Not bordering, actually it's fake news, no? Propaganda for that matter, no? Using other art forms in order to pursue, no? Yung mga agenda nila, no? Ginagamit nila kasi nakita nila how powerful it is, no? But merong sumasalubong sa kanila, no? At nakakatuwa, yung mga sumasalubong sa kanila may not have, no, the resources, the manpower, and the tactical support, no, that can be thrown, no, if by people in power, no? But these are very sincere and honest works by really intelligent, critically thinking individuals that wanted to set the record straight, no? That we will not, no, let them tell the stories, no? Sasabayan natin sila kahit gaano man karami yan, kahit gaano sila ka-organisado sa pagkakalat nitong mga questionable materials or questionable artwork.
You mentioned your family several times already, and particularly your father, the national artist, Abdul Malik Imao Sr. But you've also mentioned your mom, no? Your mom, Grace.
Yes.
She's identified in write-ups as an art collector, no? But also as Catholic. So parang in some profiles about you, parang you were raised in this kind of multicultural household. You have this traditional Moro father. He was born in Siasi Island.
Yes,
tama ba?
yes.
So,
Yes.
I mean, I've been to Jolo. No, Jolo is the main island. Siasi is a smaller island.
Smaller island, yeah.
So he really came from that kind of background. Talagang it's yung medyo remote, no? A remote part of the Philippines. And your mom was, I guess, a more part of the more mainstream Filipino population, Katolika, etc. So what was that like? Yung upbringing mo in this, Muslim Catholic.
Well, it's interesting, no? It happens that my dad was Tausug and my mom was Kapampangan, no? Yan yung bang kultura na sinasabi no, mawalan na ng yaman, wag lang ng yabang, no? Sinasabi nila, the Tausugs are a very proud race, and so is the Kapampangan. And to have them both, no, in one household was, really quite interesting. And my mom was a firebrand. No? Uh, she was actually the strongest person in the family, no? Stronger than my dad, braver than my dad. Nagkataon na ang pamilya ng father ko, they come from a family of warriors, no? Actually, no? Yung great-grand uncle niya were World War II heroes who founded the guerrilla movement in Sulu, no? Abdul Rahim, Abdul Salim, and Abdul Muin, no? Imao. And they're cited in several history books already that they were the ones who were instrumental in the foundation, laying out the foundation for the guerrilla movement in southern Mindanao. My great-grandfather, Halimau Tunggal, no, which literally translate to Lone Tiger, no, is a warrior that has experienced both the Spanish and American period, American wars, no. Kaya kilala sila being a warrior clan, no. Kaya aberration yung father ko na bigla na lang siya yung naging artist family, no. And my mom, no, is Kapampangan, no. Comes from, she was orphaned very early in her life, no. Struggled and survived, and they found each other, no. It's interesting also to know, no, sinasabi ko nga yung dynamics, no. My father's name is Abdul Mari Imao, Abdul Mari Asha Imao. When you translate it, Imao came from Halimao, no, or Harimao. Anyway, yan yung dating pangalan namin kaya naging Imao na lang, no. Which literally translates to Asian tiger, no? And my mom's name is Bondok de Leon, mountain lion, no? So in the family we had a lion and a tiger, no? and we grew up with that. I mean, but because my dad was, an artist that was educated not only in the University of the Philippines but 3 other schools in the United States, no? When he did his Fulbright, he was quite liberal. He was a more progressive thinking kind of Muslim, no? So there was a really big degree of tolerance, no, in terms of understanding and respecting other cultures. And that's the same with my mom, no? So we grew up with that, no? And I think ang naging focus more is the richness of both culture. Kapampangan culture, for that matter, is so rich, hindi ba? History, rituals, practices, religious celebrations, no, commemorations, and at the same with the Tausug culture, no. So that was the house became a melting pot of culture from the north and from the south, and somehow, no, we grew up. No, we were 4 brothers, no. Ako yung panganay. Jose Mari is in the US right now, a dentist, but also does art. Sajid, of course, you know Sajid, who does sculpture, no, and our bunso is into design, no. So we lived art, no. It was not something that was separate from us, no, not a very Western definition of art, but rather Filipino, no. It was part of the community, it was part of the family practice, it was part of the family tradition in which we wanted to share, no. It's our form of storytelling.
I have a last question. What do you advise your students? They're studying fine arts with you. Can they make art a career?
Well, I would advise my students unang-una, no, to fulfill all your requirements and graduate on time, to do a good thesis because that's going to be your first calling card, no? When you get out there, no. And don't quit your day job just yet. You will need that in the first few years when you're establishing yourself as an artist. Be truthful to your processes, no. Be always curious, ang sinasabi ko sa kanila, no. You need to demystify yung definition ng isang artist, no. Na ang artist is somewhat parang holy man. Yan yung yan yung maraming naniniwala kaya nga sila nagiging ermitanyo kasi holy men raw sila. They just concentrate and do their art in their in the silence of their temples and abode, no, studio kumbaga, no, even unmindful of what's happening around, no, as long as they can produce art, no? But if you want to be sustainable, you have to be very pragmatic. You have to also identify and learn, no, that you are also a part of society, no, a part of of the machine that runs, no, the lifeline of your community, no. We are not holy men, no. We are also workers, no. It so happens that, you know, there are some unique perks with this kind of work that we do, no, in art, no. Pero we should never forget that we are part of society and we need to contribute to that. We need to move, no, as also legal citizens of a particular community or for a particular nation, so that we can also access yung mga what a civilized society has to offer, no, or yung government has to offer to us, no. Ang ano ko lang is that huwag kayong makiging magkahon. Don't be too much in a hurry to become the next auction stars, no? Or the next rock star artist, no? Marami kasing ganyan na nag-ano, no? I think acknowledge that primarily you are a storyteller. And the stories that we come up with are based on, you know, sincere experiences na pinagugutan natin sa atin. Ang art kasi ngayon, all aspects of commerce right now involve the art, di ba? Lalo na kung may online presence yan eh. Kaya meron trabaho ngayon sa art. No? Hindi ka lang dapat kailangan mapili. No? You can be a practicing, I mean, the best visual artist, to national artists, sometimes we have like for example, yung mga nagsimula sila sa ahensya, no, sa mga advertising agencies before they became more into the creative and studio arts, no. They were part of the system. They were part of the industry, no. Before they really decided na makaipon na ako enough, na pwede na akong mag-delve, no. Of course, there are success stories, but they come rarely. But do not rely on that, no. Don't chase your muses. You will never be able to be fast enough to chase them. Always chase you. And just be sincere about, no. Medyo maraming challenges sa kanya. AI art, no, has come into the picture. No? It's a big thing not only in the art world but no in the literary world also, no. These are things that we need to address and study more, no. Pero don't be, you know, don't stop and continue to feed your passions, no. Be surrounded by fellow artists, no, and a community that values the things that you do, no. And just keep curious, be dilettante, experience things out there, no? You'll never go wrong. Yun siguro lang masasabi ko sa mga estudyante ko.
Wise advice, and that's a great way to end, Toym. No? So maraming salamat, Toym, for sharing all these stories and all your insights about art and its role in society. Thank you. Toym Imao, mabuhay ka!
Maraming salamat, Howie, at maraming salamat po sa mga nakikinig at nanonood ngayon.
Hi, I'm Howie Severino. Check out the Howie Severino Podcast, an original for GMA News and Public Affairs. New episodes will stream every Thursday. Listen for free on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and other platforms.